let's say the valuables up there become worth less up county, does that mean the lower part of the county has to carry a greater share of say county's tax burden? In other words, if your valuables are lower compared to here, because of market conditions, appeals, everything like that, then you're going to cover a greater share down here.
Right. One of the things also that is part of this plan, if you're in a certain lake community and they get a high percentage of septic failures, the DEP can come in and say you have to develop a package plan for this community, okay? Or you have to install these new. They have these new high-tech septic systems that they're working on, where you actually almost have a plant in your backyard, but they're going to cost $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And what's going to happen? You go into a lake community that has, and a lot of our lake communities in West Milford are our lower-income people. You know, some of the are because they're just converted summer homes. What's going to happen when you go into some of these lower-income lakes? And they you know, the perk is terrible, you know, because you're right up against the lake. And they go in and they mandate a package plan where each one of these homeowners has to come up with $30,000–$40,000, okay, so they can build their own plan. A lot of those people are just going to walk away. They're going to walk away. They're going to walk, okay, and so that burden is going to increase.
Presses the values down.
When I spoke at the lakes meeting the other night, Councilman Phil Weisbecker asked me to come up and explain a little bit on the septic type of ordinances and things along those lines for the lakes. One of the people at that meeting said, "Hey, we're not going to pay that. We're just going to walk away." And I said, and in all probability, that's what's going to happen. I mean, it's
who's going to do the enforcement? Will the town itself?
The town. The way this thing reads is that the townships really going to have to do most of the enforcement.
Because they don't.
The problem is that you have various environmental activists. They're going to go around and find, you know, various things that are wrong, that are not in compliance, and those are going to be reported to the township. And then at that point in time, something's going to have to be done. That's going to happen. Yes.
I mean, this is probably above and beyond, you know, your scope. But I question, you know, that this whole thing started as a result of the court. First of all, there's no money to compensate these people. Isn't there a possibility that perhaps the Highlands Act can be declared unconstitutional under the Fifth Amendment? If all the towns just get together and start a class action lawsuit.
There's already a lawsuit, okay, and the lawsuit has been going on for a couple of years from the Highlands Conservation Association. They did it right. They didn't bother to go to the state of New Jersey and try and get it overturned because it's in the federal courts. In fact, I just got some more information sent to me on it yesterday. I had a chance to open it up. But it is in the federal courts because they know it's a constitutional issue, and they knew that they would get no relief whatsoever if they went through the New Jersey court system. So it's already in the works, and those people are looking for donations, by the way, with their court case. So
also COAH, you know, affordable housing, Mount Laurel. I consider, at least from my point of view, I consider that unconstitutional because where does it say in the Constitution that the citizens should be provided a flooring, an economic flooring? The Declaration of Independence says pursuit of happiness, not the expectation of happiness. That's something that ought to be pursued.
Also, 30 acres and a mule, that's what we get.
Well, you'll get the mule.
in the end.
Well, in Highlands, you need 88 acres to find a new lot with a septic. 88 acres.
Except, there are exceptions. And these are the exceptions that are also that drive me crazy for someone like me. The biggest problem in our area, especially for water quality, is all the infill lakes that surround these small lake communities. Okay, these are very undersized lots, but because they were in existence before the Highlands, those lots can still be built on. Okay, that's the bad news. The good news is that the Highlands Regional Master Plan requires that not only do they have a septic field, but they have to have also a place for secondary septic field. Most of those lots barely have room for the house. Okay, so that, unless they get some sort of waiver. The bad news is that once you get a propensity of a high number of failures and they come in and they put the package plants in, every one of those lots will be eligible for infill. And we have hundreds of those tiny infill lots up in West Milford. It's the biggest issue. The most amazing thing is, if you look at the original study for the Highlands Act, Passaic County, in 10 years, Passaic County had something like just under 800 units built in the Highlands community. That was it. 80 a year, approximately. In the meantime, they come down and squash us, you know, with this sledgehammer, when the building was not occurring in Passaic County. The building was occurring in Morris, Hunterton, Warren. It wasn't happening up by us, because when you take away all the watershed land, you take away all the steep slopes, the wetlands, with the regulations before the Highlands, it was only something like 1% or 2% of the 82 square miles of West Milford that could have been developed anyhow. You know, that's all that was left. So they took a sledgehammer to kill a mosquito in Passaic County, because there's just, and even in Bloomingdale, it's the same. You know, it's the same way. There was no land really left to build. Wanacue, basically the same way. So what should have happened was, all these studies should have been done first. Okay, all this work should have been done first. Then you decide whether you need a Highlands Act or what you needed to do. Instead of like having, you know, putting together this piece of legislation and then going back and infilling it, you know, with all these nice things that you want to see. But